Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy Josh, and I'm grateful to be back on with you yet again. Yes, there's a new backdrop. New things are happening around the show these days. I'm in my new studio. Excited to be with you. First off, we are still trying the kinks of working it out. As you can hear through my voice, there's a bit of an echo behind me. Well, it's because things are a little bit less acoustic focused. We got to dampen some of these walls in here. It's just echo central in here. There's a lot of hard surfaces, not enough cushion. So we got to work on that. We'll do that very shortly. However, it's great to be on the show here with you. Very grateful to be on with you once again. We have a lot to get into. Liberals get blocked. Lots of happening. Well, first off, Parliament gets kicked off again, and lots of vitriol. It got heated real quick, very soon, and we have a lot to get into and talking about that. And then as well as the two by-elections that took place, one in Montreal, one in Manitoba, and all you need to know is that Liberals lost both of them. One was a huge stronghold, and they lost. So lots to get into today on top of others. We got, there's other Liberal MPs who have jumped ship and are trying to do things in other realms of politics that we'll be talking about, and this and so much more. We're grateful to have you. Before we move on, we were going to talk from one of our sponsors, actually. We want to give a shout out to Depth Experience Design. If you are interested in need designs for websites, digital products, things of that nature, these are your guys. They'll get it done quick, do it done swift, and we will take care of you. That is Depth Experience Design, depthxd.com. If you are interested, you can go over there. Secondly, we are doing something new on the podcast here. We are going to be starting up a newsletter here fairly shortly. And so what I want you to do is, if you want to go over to our website, you will have a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a dialog box that you can go to, and you'll be able to go in and sign up there. Obviously, right now, this is just the mobile version, and for some reason, I can't scroll to where the dialog box is. Oh, there it is. It's going to look something like this. You can enter your first name, enter your email, and subscribe. If you're interested in getting stories weekly, we'll be starting next week on Friday. Things that we can't always jam into the show, we'll make sure you have coverage for that you get to your inbox. If you're interested, come and join. Go to the elevatepodcast.ca. There, you'll be able to fill in your name, fill in your email, subscribe, and you will be on our list, and you'll be one of the first to be getting a newsletter from us in the next week or so. So that's what's going on. That is what's happening. Let's get into the nitty gritty of what is going on in politics here in Canada. First off, we talked about the kind of kick off the show a little bit here. It was really interesting. Jagmeet got into it, got a bit of a scuffle here with one of the Conservative protesters on Parliament Hill. And he had some issues with something somebody said. And let's see, we'll take a look, see what your thoughts are. And what did Jagmeet do here?
Will you vote a non-confidence tonight if it came up? Corrupted bastard.
Oh.
You
said what?
What? You want to say something? Did you say nothing? What was it that? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I said...
Is that what you said?
No, I did not say that.
Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you? No. 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, I asked you if a confidence vote came up today.
With that aggression, is that why you're choosing war with Russia?
Well, you talk about the corrupted bastard comment, but you won't...
Is that why you won't go for peace?
Wow.
So obviously this blew up on social media today as he's making his way down to the House of Commons. And there's people who are feeling a variety of ways of what happened here, what was going on. There's some on the right who are just like, this just shows he's not capable of being a proper leader if he's getting riled up like this. And there's others who are like, the guy is an absolute coward. And we see some here in some of the comments here already speaking about it, saying that he is an absolute coward. You say that he's a corrupted bastard were the exact words. Then he turns around on a dime. Now you've got his attention and you back down. If you're going to be so bold to say something like that, make sure you're able to back it up. It was beautiful. He was hiding behind his sunglasses too. And you know, I had a Leafs hat to boot, which was comical in of itself. But I mean, politics aside, I'm with Jagmeet on this. He got right in his grill. So now you won't say to my face, now you're a coward. Wild to see what happened here. And I have absolutely no respect for the protester, quote unquote, here in this situation. You know, you're gonna get you're gonna come to the bar, say something to get a politician's attention. Now you got his attention. Now you have what you've been wanting to have for so long. And you back down. That, my friends, is what we call a pansy. As someone who comes from the sports world, those are the types of people you have zero respect for. There are so many things he could have said. He could have actually had like an interesting conversation, could have actually asked a legitimate question like, why have you abandoned middle-class workers? Why have you abandoned your base? Why have you supported the Liberals all this time when people are suffering? Why? Why are you making your cause about greedy grocery CEOs when the problem is so much more expansive than that? These are some of the questions he could have asked. But no, he wasn't ready. He was just throwing things out there just to be able to get something off his chest. He wasn't ready. He wasn't thinking ahead of time of what could be coming. Coward. Absolute coward. Well, I thought it was really interesting. That was what kicks off, the stuff that's going on in Parliament here. The other thing kind of came up this week in the news was that got a lot of people's attention was, let's just make sure we get back to our screens here, is changes coming in December 2024 for home buyers. This is exciting. This is very interesting. This is exciting depending on who you are. 30-year mortgage amortizations. The government is expanding access to a 30-year mortgage amortizations for first-time home buyers. This will include both those purchasing any type of home and those buying newly built homes. A longer amortization period reduces monthly payments, making it easier for buyers to manage their mortgage, although they will be paying more in interest over the life of the loan. This, my friends, is a party who has destroyed so much. And this, my friends, is their solution. Let's just make the life of the loan longer so more people can get in. More people can take on more interest and pay these big corporations their money. That's what's happening here. And we're trying to lengthen the inevitable of what's going to happen here. And that's a housing collapse. We're going to extend it a little bit longer. And what's going to happen here in the interim is you're going to allow a new segment of people being able to access more dollars for homes, which means inflation is going to increase on homes yet again. The CMHC cap for being able to have insured homes for a down payment under 20% was $1 million. Now it's going up to $1.5 million. This is crazy. If you look at some of these loans, those who have been home buyers, say you're getting a loan for $300,000, and I know that's very small in comparison to many people. And say those interests, you say at today's interest rate, your interest payments are somewhere in like $2,000 a month. You look at the beginning of that loan, about 90% of that is going to interest. Only 10% is going to the principal of that loan. So what's that going to look like for people who put in 5%, 10%, 15% down on a loan for $800,000 mortgage? Yikes. Looks like bigger money coming to the big corporations, all Trudeau's buddies, getting those big fat paychecks. But this, my friends, they think is a win. They think it's a dub. And it's quite frankly a joke. These changes, as we said, are intended to help first-time home buyers, particularly younger Canadians, afford homes in a challenging market. However, the concern is that these measures might drive housing prices up further by increasing demand, saddle Canadians with ever-increasing debt, and do nothing for affordability. And it's true. You will own nothing and be happy. Just because you own a home, quote unquote, doesn't mean you own it. The bank owns it. Until you have that deed in your hand, you own nothing. You're just paying rent to TD. You're just paying rent to Scotiabank. And it's on you. You're the one who has to take care of the property. You're the one who has to take care of the asset. Let's not talk about all the money that goes into repairing a home, taking care of a home. Banks ain't taking care of that. They're just collecting interest on you. What's the real deal at the end of the day? You don't own jack. You're just not renting from your fellow Canadian now. You're renting from a big bank now. That's how this is going to go. And that is the issue we see moving forward. And as you talk to anybody, Ron Butler was on TikTok going off about it, saying this is one of the worst things that could happen and we could put forward. But we know with this government, they're not big in real solutions. They're looking at Band-Aid solutions, and they're also not the smartest people that have run a government. So that's just the reality that we're working with. This could actually legitimately be, I doubt it, but this could be, they could have been in the boardroom saying, this is a fantastic idea. We're going to go with this. Well, here we are. Craziness. So moving on to House of Commons issues. Emergency debate happened in the House of Commons Monday evening on Indigenous deaths and policing, which is really interesting. 6 Indigenous people were killed in 11 days by police. NDP Lori Idlout from Nunavut called for more Indigenous-led policing, seconded by Conservative MP Raquel Doncho, and echoed by the Conservatives. Liberals made it about them, as per usual, highlighting the efforts they've made to support Indigenous people and Indigenous issues, but said there's more work to do. Okay, well, people are dying at the hands of police in a weird, alarming rate. Let's look into what happened there. Was it provoked? Was it police officers being bad? Let's get into the actual nuance of what's happening rather than, we've worked on this. We don't need any more of that. We need more serious looking into situations, seeing if there's something at its root that needs to be addressed. Plain and simple. Bill C-71. Anyone who knows about Bill C-71, very interesting situation. Today, the Canadian government introduced key amendments to the Citizenship Act through Bill C-71. The proposed changes primarily address the issue of lost Canadians and aim to simplify citizenship by descent. So what it's doing is expanding the person who is a Canadian to different family members who can apply for Canadian citizenship and get it. So extending citizenship by descent, the legislation will allow individuals born outside of Canada to Canadian parents to automatically gain citizenship, even beyond the first generation. This will allow if the parent can demonstrate a substantial connection to Canada, defined as at least 3 years of residency before the child's birth. Restoring citizenship, the amendments will also restore citizenship to individuals affected by outdated provisions, including those who lost and were aimed at individuals known as lost Canadians. Clear rules for adopted children. Children adopted abroad by Canadian citizens will be eligible for citizenship if their adopted parents meet the same criteria of substantial connection to Canada. The Conservatives have asked how many people will this affect. The Bloc stood up and asked the same question, but said they would support the government anyways, which we know why. The Conservatives also stated they agree with parts of the bill, but don't agree that the 3 years of residency is non-consecutive, and also wanted a security check be included with each application. This came up in the House of Commons today in question period. Jamil brought this up, and him and the NDP representative had a debate over it in the House of Commons. And I get where he was coming from on it. She was saying that, Harper included all these different provisions and yada, yada, yada. It was unconstitutional. And Jamil's just like, we get you. We hear you. That's not the issue we're talking about here. The issue is we are getting smoked right now by uncontrolled immigration with lack of planning. No resources, no doctors, no housing, no infrastructure to support the population growth we had. We should not be looking into this right now. We can't afford to include more people in the fold. On its surface, this is a good bill. We can handle this. but not right now. Well, of course, he was characterized as a hater, someone who doesn't care about others and outsiders. And all he was saying was, nah, I'm just here to take care of our Canadians that are here right now. Let's take care of people right now. We can get this later. Right now, we have crises everywhere in this country. Let's settle that. Let's get that thing cleared up at the moment. So that's kind of what happened there and what's going on with Bill C-71. But then we get into question period, guys. We got into question period. So question period is really interesting. First off, we have Justin Trudeau had a very unique entrance.
Good to see you.
How are you doing?
Good stuff. Merci. Let's go.
Yeah, that was Justin Trudeau. His entrance into the House of Commons on Monday. He did a whole video, and there's a part of me, it definitely appealed to a piece of my heart, was it reminded me a lot of the backstage things you would see with the WWE wrestling guys coming out to their song. It's kind of what it reminded me a lot of. Obviously, people on X were kind of saying, well, he's so full of himself and always want to do a video that makes himself look real good. And it's like, yeah, I get it. But I mean, I'll give it to him. It was good marketing. I thought it was a good video. It got me hyped. The song was at, 10 decibel levels, which was psychotic and obviously blew out your eardrums just now. But I thought it was interesting. I hated to say it, one of the few things he's been successful at, and it was actually pretty smooth. Him walking in, talking to people. But the thing that cracked me up is when we go through that video again, was actually, we'll watch it again because I thought this part cracked me up. I'm going to lower that volume though on this. You go to this. What's this? I'm going to walk you through what he's thinking right now. So he's coming through. He's like, yo, what's up, y'all? I got you. He's coming in. Hey, what's up? Hey, Sally. I hate her. She's ridiculous. Hey, what's up, Johnny? Hey, I hate you too. All right, we got to pick up this binder. Thank you for the binder. Oh, here we go. Picking it up. No, that guy sucks at his job. He didn't even hand it off right. That's kind of what's going through his mind there from my perspective, which I thought was kind of funny. It's just like he just kind of does these things where he's saying hi to people and then just like instantly smiles and then instantly just hilarious to me. It was like immediately like it just made me think that he's saying hi to them and then saying, well, that person sucks. That person's a piece of crap. I thought it was kind of interesting the way he opened it up. So things kind of opened up very interesting in opening remarks. It's the first time we've kicked off in over a month in question period. So people have been waiting. Monday was kind of not a whole lot happened Monday. We'll kind of go through it here, kind of rapid pace here. But they kind of opened up about different things happening with Bangladesh. The Bloc member for Rivers du Loup mentioned that a big patriot historian who sang the opera recently died, who was noted in saying if Quebecers knew their own history, Quebec would have been an independent and free country, yada, yada, yada. Everyone kind of went through the list of things to kind of talk about their community. One that's actually close to here, Cumberland Colchester's conservative calling Liberals abandoning laws around lobster fisheries. There was a bit of a heated exchange there. And then Ryan Turnbull, MP for Whitby, Liberal, called out NDP for taking a hard right turn to the NDP for, tearing up the supply and confidence deal. So that's kind of how things started up there. But then we got to Pierre and Trudeau. Pierre started off saying, isn't it time for change? Aren't we ready for an election here? He was speaking directly to Quebecers. The Bloc has voted 200 times in support of $500 billion worth of centralizing power in Ottawa. Carbon taxes blown a $25 billion hole in our economy, he said. We know why children need a food program. Because of this government, 25% of Canadians are hungrier than ever. His tax doesn't fight climate change, called him a high-flying, high-taxing leader who flew 92,000 kilometers on his private jet while he funds it off the taxes on single moms and seniors. So that was the big talking points that Pierre hit on. Trudeau responded with that the Conservatives would have were not talking to Canadians, and they would have heard, if they were talking to Canadians over the summer, that they would have heard Canadians want a solution for climate change. Accused Conservatives of moving jobs away from Canada by calling up their good friend Elon Musk. Trudeau is going to give jobs to Quebecers, says that Pierre votes against dental care, school food programs, and so on. And so these are the things that he was kind of getting at. The people who don't know these stories is Trudeau is looking at giving a $2 billion contract to a Quebec company. I got a note here. It says that he was going to, the federal government is extending a $2.14 billion loan to Telesat Lightspeed so it can expand internet and 5G networks in communities across Canada with affordable high-speed broadband connectivity. MP Michael Barrett reached out to Elon Musk and said, how much would it actually cost for Starlink to get set up here in Canada? And he said under half of that amount. And then you look into the company that Trudeau is giving money to. Only 10% of it is Canadian owned or Canadian run. 90% of it is run internationally. But his defense is that we're taking away Canadian jobs if we give it off to Starlink and Elon Musk. So obviously, and we know that the left loves to paint Elon Musk as this terrible person. And that's kind of what Trudeau is getting at here. So it's kind of interesting. We'll get into that Telesat story a little bit later, but that's kind of what happened there. And he loved hitting the news flash. News flash, climate change is the problem. News flash, flooding in Toronto. News flash, news flash, news flash. And that's what he yelled in the House of Commons for like 5 minutes straight. News flash. You know, you get his dramatic pauses in there because obviously he got pumped up as he's walking into the House of Commons yesterday. So his point, and it's clear the Liberals' plan is to hit on climate change because that's quote unquote all they have left. And Poilievre's going to keep hitting the point that he has made Canadians absolutely broke. The Bloc and Liberals went back and forth over dental care. Libs say Bloc voted against dental care. Bloc claims pensions are unfairly distributed in Quebec, talking past each other as per usual. The NDP and Liberals went back and forth over housing and healthcare costs. Trudeau says as soon as things got hard, NDP turned in tail and ran, and claims the NDP are trying to hide from the Conservatives. And the Conservatives and Liberals obviously went at it with, a lot about Carney looking to potentially take Freeland's job, an unelected job as a finance minister, quote unquote. He has actually got a few conflicts of interest, but somehow he's kind of weaseled his way back in the Liberal Party and into a finance, potentially influencing the finance minister's job. So the Conservatives called that out in the House of Commons today, saying that Freeland's about to lose her job to a man. You're not a real feminist, they said. It was pretty spicy in there. And anyways, there was some hardcore back and forth. And Liberal MP Karina Gold came out and had this to say to Pierre Poilievre.
So what I heard yesterday from Mr. Poilievre was so over the top, so irresponsible, so immature, and something that only a fraudster would do. When he is focused on having an election on the carbon price, what he's trying to do is distract Canadians from his real agenda. When he talks about the fact that, he cares about how Canadians are feeling in difficult economic times, what plan does he put forward? When it comes to our seniors, the only thing that we've heard is that he wants to raise the age of retirement, cut pensions, and remove their access to dental care. When it comes to families who are struggling, what are his plans? Get rid of affordable childcare and scrap the school food program? When it comes to making sure that Canadians have access to good quality information in a time of incredible disinformation, what does he propose to do? Defund the CBC. And all of you as journalists have experienced firsthand how he treats people who try to ask him tough questions, who try to have him face the scrutiny of what he puts forward. And how does he react? As a bully, as someone who will not stand to scrutiny, who will not respond respectfully, not just to you as journalists, but on the questions you're asking on behalf of Canadians, because your job is to get that information to Canadians. And there's a reason why he doesn't want Canadians to know what his true agenda is. And it's because he knows that they won't like it if they find out. And so what we are here today as Liberals in this House going to do, and what we're going to be doing moving forward, is to make sure that we stand up every single day for Canadians, that we push back on his bullying tactics, that we push back on his irresponsible and immature antics in this place. We have an important role to do as parliamentarians, and that is to work hard for Canadians.
So that was that. So I really wanted to kind of get to the point of this because this is going to be the Liberals' plan going forward, is to paint the Conservatives with an austerity brush. They're going to cut. Paulie is a bad man. He doesn't look out for you. Only cares about big business, cares about his pockets, this, that, the other. Kind of that whole thing of accusing the other side of what you're currently doing. That's kind of what they're going to be doing. This is going to be planned moving forward. Second thing, which I thought was interesting, obviously Freeland got the boots kicked to her in House of Commons today when she got called out for not being a real feminist, for giving up her job to a man. They really kind of dug at the ego there. And do you know what her response was? I'm not scared of you because I stood up to Trump. And admittedly, everyone in the House of Commons on the Conservative side audibly laughed at her. It's like, that's what you're coming back with? The big bad Trump, you stood up to big... What did you do? What did you do? Pretty sure the states took the boots to us the whole time through Trump was in power. And what did you do to Joe Biden when he said, I'm ending the pipeline that's coming in from Alberta? The Keystone, just canceled it. The billions of dollars that Canadians spent on that. You did nothing. You stood up to Jack. But hey, we're going to make a performance in the House of Commons that I stood up to Trump. You deserve to be laughed at for that. And you've done nothing. You've done nothing. But make Canadians more broke and kill our economy. I wish I could defend her. Admittedly, I was listening to question period on the way home today. And I literally was laughing the whole time. Because I'm like, this is her game. She's so good at it. To a degree. Mr. Speaker, I had a good day today. I went to the ice cream store and bought myself a strawberry vanilla twist cone. And that's essentially the value that she adds in the House of Commons anytime she speaks. So I was like, she's good at deflecting. What can I say? That's what they do best over there at the Liberals. So speaking of deflecting and getting into it, we are going to get into segment 1. That was just in the news. Reg filled it up for us. So he had a bunch of stuff you want to get into. But we're finally segment 1. The Liberals getting blocked, losing more seats. Montreal. Oh, Montreal. Verdun, the rioting was, got taken by the Bloc. And so it was interesting kind of what happened here. In terms of the results that we're seeing here, was that the voter turnout was about 28,000 people turned out for this vote. Close to 72,000 were registered, which means only 39% of people turned out to vote. 39% of your population decided who was going to represent your riding. What is the lesson learned here? It doesn't matter what the polls say. It doesn't matter what your dad says. It doesn't matter what your grandmommy says. It doesn't matter what Polyev says. It doesn't matter what Jagmeet says. It doesn't matter what your grandpappy says. Get out and stink and vote. It doesn't matter. Shows that only the mind, like we talk about elections and the majority wins and the majority. We learned that the minority who shows up is the one who gets their say. So do get out to the polls. If you're in a by-election riding, get out and vote. When we finally get to a general election here in Canada, get out and vote. Because if you don't get out and vote, you're toast. If you think we've won, if you think that your preferred candidate has won, think again, get out and vote. And that's kind of what happened here. It was really interesting, the drama that ensued from this story. So we pull it up here. This was kind of interesting. So the Bloc Québécois win a longtime Liberal seat and deliver stunning blow to Trudeau in Montreal by-election. So the voters have dealt Prime Minister Justin Trudeau another devastating by-election loss, this time picking a Bloc Québécois candidate in Montreal riding that's been held by the Liberals for most of the last century. Century! The defeat in LaSalle et Verdun is Trudeau's second by-election loss in a safe Liberal seat in the last 3 months, and it raises questions about his long-term viability as a party leader. The Bloc candidate Louis-Philippe Sauvé very narrowly beat Liberal Laure Palestini, a stunning upset, given the governing party's past strength in this part of southwest Montreal. The NDP candidate Craig Sauvé finished third. Surprise, surprise. the guy who couldn't put a Canadian flag on his campaign literature ended up coming third. I'm not surprised. So it was interesting that the Bloc won this out. It was a close law. It was a close between the 39% that showed up. It was close. The Bloc pulled it out. But what was more interesting was this story. Let's make sure that we can get rid of these here. So we were about an hour into the polls, an hour into counting. Only 5% of polls were reporting. And this is what was going on.
Trying to figure out why Laura Palestini gave that speech when she gave that speech. You got any insight? What's the vibe and the reaction at the headquarters after that?
I just want to clarify this. Laura Palestini is the Liberal representative here. 5% of the vote was counted, and she was already giving an address to her supporters. Early in the night, she was already giving an address. Anyone who has politics knows that's wicked early. Why are you doing this? They usually don't give until like it's sure what the results are. Then you give your thank you address, yada, yada. She did it at the beginning of the night. And CBC's here covering it. Like, look at the bottom here. You have 33% NDP, 30% Bloc, 23.4% Liberal. Wild. Listen to this.
Well, David, I could tell you one thing. As much as she was energetic in her speech, she was also energetic in leaving the party. She immediately left as soon as she gave that speech. She did a few steps saying thank you to the volunteers, turned around, went out the door, and of course we followed her. Thought maybe she was just getting some fresh air. No, she got in drove away. This doesn't really.
We're all trying to figure out.
So obviously it gets cut off there. The connection was really bad for CBC there. But essentially what happened is the representative, the Liberal candidate for this riding, got up an hour in, said, thank you for coming out, volunteers. Appreciate your time. Got into her car and left. Like the look of the CBC viewers here, the CBC anchor, is like, what just happened? Palestine just leave? And they're just like, yep, we're on the ground here. And yeah, she's gone. She just spoke to her followers and bounced. She took off in her car. We tried to catch her, but she ran away. Oh my gosh. It was crazy what happened here. She already saw the writing on the wall. It was a lot closer than it was early night. I'll give her credit, but like, these people are losers. These Liberal candidates are losers. You know, you see the writing on the wall. They're begging Trudeau to step down. He won't because he's too arrogant. And they're quitting 1 hour into counting. They're already quitting. What if she won? What if she won? I definitely wouldn't have wanted her to represent my riding after that. Cowards. Absolute cowards. This is her speech that she gave. Oop, wrong one. Sorry, actually, I didn't include it. My fault. Either way. Oh, here it is. Let's ignore this ad. That's going to take forever. Never mind. CBC's website doesn't work. Anyhow, it wasn't much to watch anyways. Because she went and said, thank you. We did so well. We said so great. Thank you for coming out. Peace. I'm taking an Uber home. That's what happens. That's what happened. Trudeau had something to say about Verdun.
The results last night.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate everyone who stepped up in putting their name on a ballot at a time where we know politics is a challenging moment. I also want to highlight the thousands upon thousands of volunteers who stepped out, lots for our party, but lots for other parties as well, to show that people are still very much engaged. At the same time, we need people to be more engaged. We need people to understand what's at stake in this upcoming election. Obviously, it would have been nicer to be able to win and hold Verdun, but there's more work to do, and we're going to stay focused on doing it.
What do you think went wrong?
Oh, I think there's all sorts of reflections to take on that, but the big thing is to make sure that Canadians understand that the choice they get to make in the next election about the kind of country we are really matters, and that's the work we're going to continue to do.
Just in English, your reaction to the results last night.
Well, first of all,
That's a posture of someone who knows they're losing. Trying to just get through the interview. Move on. That didn't happen. St. Paul's didn't happen. Verdun didn't happen. This party's collapsing beneath my feet because I suck as a leader, but, you know, we're going to recalculate. We'll see what happened. He doesn't want to admit that he's sewering his party. He doesn't want to admit that he was wrong. And if I'm a Liberal, I'd be so mad this man leads my party right now. Be so mad. Like, I'm not going to see my party in power for a decade because of this man. Maybe longer. People have long memories to a degree that seem to span only about 10 years. Ugly loss to Liberals. And then they turn around in Manitoba. And the NDP took that riding. The NDP has dominated this riding for over 30 years, making a key stronghold for the party of Manitoba. The NDP has held the Elmwood Transcona riding almost continuously since its creation in 1988, with the exception of a brief period from 2011 to 2015 when the seat was won by the Conservatives. The NDP candidate Leila Dance won by a narrow margin of 1,158 votes over Conservative candidate Colin Reynolds. Dance scored 13,606 votes, 48%, compared to Reynolds' 12,448 votes. It's a strong Rob Canoe support is also contributed for NDP support, even though it's a federal versus provincial election here. People, again, we have a hard time delineating between federal politics and provincial politics. They just see orange and they link them. Rob Canoe is doing a good job out there in Manitoba currently. He's seen as very favorable amongst his people. And admittedly, he's getting attention from a lot of moderates across the country as well. So it doesn't surprise me that NDP retained that seat. Even though by a slim margin, it would have been interesting if Conservatives could have stole it. It would have been interesting. But at the end of the day, we're just happy to see Liberals lose another key seat, just as another indictment on the terrible job that Justin Trudeau is doing. One key little thing that came out, which we thought was interesting, was that a new party emerges through this election. They're called the Canadian Future Party. It's a newly formed party that positions itself as a centrist party. The party aims to offer an alternative to traditional political options, advocating for increased spending on defense and addressing various domestic issues with a balanced approach. The 2024 federal by-elections marked their first participations in a Canadian election. In Manitoba, the Canadian Party got 132 votes. They also ran a candidate in the Quebec by-election who got 103 votes. So again, it's like a drop of water in the bucket. But interesting that a new party has emerged. One that's a little more centrist. One trying to pull a little bit from the Liberals, pull a little bit from the Conservatives. One that you'd say was common sense. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they gain any ground moving forward. Thought that was interesting. Second, though, we have to talk about this. So Andy Fillmore. Hi, I'm Andy Fillmore. Might know him by. MP, Liberal MP of a riding here in Halifax. He is one of these Liberals that has seen the writing on the wall and got out of his position as a Liberal MP. His riding is up for by-election here soon. And he's running for mayor here in Halifax now. He's up against two other people, Way Mason and Pam Lovelace. One thing I love about municipal politics is there are no parties. It's just people and their platforms. So it's a lot harder to have tribalism happen in municipal politics. It's exciting. But the problem with Andy Fillmore, jumping from his MP seat to try and being a mayor of Halifax, too soon, brother. You need to at least give it a couple years. Wait for the next mayoral election to come up. Give it 4 more years. Because people are going to remember this. I don't even want to give this guy advice because I think he's terrible. But he's running here in Halifax. And all he's doing is running off of his name. His policies are terrible. For example, they were debating the other night, talking about what are they going to do with the homeless encampments. Andy Fillmore's response was, sick the police on them. Wade Mason kind of gave more of a standard approach of like, yeah, let's look at, how we can help homeless people more, which is, it's just kind of the typical response you'd expect. Pam Lovelace, interesting lady, says, let's get to the root of the problem. What is causing people to be on the streets in the first place? How can we impact those areas and try to intercept people before they end up being on the streets? 3 different approaches from 3 different candidates. I'll tell you this much. Andy Fillmore is definitely my least favorite approach. What a stupid way to go about it. Let's just imprison them for being homeless. As I was a part of the party, a part of the government that put them homeless in the first place. My policies that I supported did that to them. You overspent, you drove up prices, you drove up costs, and now people can't afford. There are people in literal tents under bridges in cities in this country because of the government this man was a part of, the policies he supported. I'm on Team Trudeau. Team Trudeau, yeah. Killing people. Figuratively and literally. So see this man turn around and say, I want to run for mayor. Look at this guy here. Let's just watch this.
Hi, I'm Andy Fillmore, candidate for mayor of HRM. I grew up in Halifax, a graduate of Queen Elizabeth High School and Dalhousie. I studied rural and urban planning, and I've spent my entire career building strong, healthy, connected communities. And I'm running because our region is growing fast. We need to take charge of this growth before it takes charge of us. We need to build more housing, end encampments, get public transit working better, fill the potholes faster, and freeze the tax rate. From Ecum-Secum to Hubbards, we live in an amazing municipality. As your mayor, I'll work with anyone to get the job done. A coalition of people, rural, urban, suburban, brought together by a love for this place and united behind a common purpose to take charge of our future, to meet the moment together. Let's get to work.
Yeah, spare me. How about you get to work in the private sector and do something different? This reeks of a man who's looking for a job. This man lost his job through the Trudeau government, and he knows he's got no way back at the federal level. So he's going down the municipal, hoping, praying, people do not make the connection. Well, funny enough, Andy Fillmore was the man who'd won the riding that my parents were in. And Andy Fillmore showed up at a park in their riding, doing his whole thing. And of course, my dad, being my dad, said what everyone was thinking and did what he does. And he asked Andy straight to his face, you were a part of the government that put us in this mess in the first place. What are you going to do? What can you say that's going to be any different than the mess that you've caused here, that you've helped cause? Why should I put any trust in you? And Andy does what Andy does. He's a politician. Deflects, dismisses. I'm Andy Fillmore. We're going to end encampments. And moves on. You can get more of that. Do not vote this man in. Halifax, if you have any backbone, you will not vote this man in. He's praying he can run off his brand of his name. But he's a typical politician who will do absolutely nothing. He's a city planner. That's what he said in his video, city planner. He won't get a job again as a city planner. His only job is in politics. He knows this is his only way to make a living. You do not want someone in politics like that. You do not want to vote for someone like that. Do not vote him in. All he wants is a freaking handout from us. Do not vote him in. Look at Pam Lovelace or even Wayne Mason. Compare those two, because they're in a different league compared to this man. He doesn't know what he's doing. He voted in favor of Bill C-11. You know, you had your Instagram stories, your Facebook articles you can't see anymore. Yeah, he voted in favor of that. Do not forget all the things this man's voted in favor of. And you think he's going to be the man that fixed Halifax? Help Halifax get to the next level? Give me a break. He's giving you lip service. He's wasting your time. Take Wayne Mason seriously. Take Pam Lovelace seriously. One of my favorites is more so leaning towards Pam. She's offering some really interesting solutions. One thing that I thought was really interesting with Pam is that when it came to the topic of transit, she really, like, Andy Fillmore wanted more stops, more routes, more frequent buses. Wayne Mason wanted more stops and routes in underserved areas. So you can see where he leans, right? Pam Lovelace wants to develop light rail along provincial corridors in partnership with the Nova Scotia government, reducing traffic congestion with park and ride services and transforming Halifax Transit into a regional transportation commission. There's only one of those three who's thinking outside the box. And it's not Andy Fillmore. This man said more stops, more routes. More stops, more routes. Okay, Trudeau. That $30 billion you spent on 10 buses back in 2020 or back in 2018 is really serving you well. And on the topic of the homelessness, we'll get more specific again. Pam Lovelace also emphasized the importance of addressing homelessness through services and long-term housing solutions, critiquing Andy's policy that prioritizes removal without offering sustainable supports. Andy's solution to homelessness is he expressed a more enforcement-oriented stance on encampments, suggesting that police should remove them as part of managing public spaces. This man's an absolute fool. Halifax, do not vote this man in. He was a part of the government that put more people into the streets. And this is going to be his response to homelessness. I'd say Pam's approach is a lot more sound, a lot more kind, compassionate, thoughtful, and detailed. Reg had some takes on both of these, though. This is Reg's take. When it comes to the situation of the homelessness, this is what Reg had to say. It feels pretty on brand for the former Liberal MP. Let's just police people without an actual solution for how they became homeless in the first place. His government's poor leadership. Pam clearly won this one. You need to address that root cause before you just jail everyone. And then his take about the transit. Again, he agrees with Pam. We need to be thinking bigger. More buses and stops doesn't address the problem. We need more options, like a light rail system connecting the region and more park and ride options. I like someone who thinks big rather than continues the status quo of the establishment. And Reg is spot on with that. Someone who thinks a little bit bigger, I think, would be important. Do not let Andy Fillmore off the hook. Let him figure out his life on his own terms. Let him go back into the private sector and make a living as a planner again. Let him figure out life without politics, because clearly he doesn't know how to do it. Don't vote this man in. Don't vote this man in. This show is going a lot longer than I thought it would. Your boy got on some rants. He went full blown. We're grateful to have you guys on. But we'll end with something a little bit lighter. I wanted to talk about this only because it really caught my attention. Anyone who's been watching any right-wing media as of late knows this. Am I Racist? By Matt Walsh in the Daily Wire. Obviously, it's a trailer. And then we'll play the trailer here because I thought it was actually kind of comical. The reason why it caught my attention was because there's some people who's like, oh, don't waste your time with it. It's inflammatory. I understand. I get where you're coming from. The reason why I thought this was interesting, because for the first time, a Daily Wire movie is being played in Cineplex theaters right now. That caught my attention. Usually you have to go to Daily Wire Plus if you see one of their movies. This is the first time they actually made it, and it's happening in the States. Like they cast a wide net. They were allowed in a lot of theaters on this one. Even just a year ago, they never would have been allowed to do this. I was surprised. It seems like an interesting movie. Let's watch a trailer together here.
This country, it's Nazism. Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up in the 90s, I never thought much about race. Sure, you noticed, but never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me.
Being a white, straight, cisgender man, it's the top of the pile.
I'm on the top of the pile. That's me. Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
Can you please leave?
If I'm going to sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover. If I want to be an ally, I need to look like one.
What is racism?
Martin Luther King said not to judge people by the...
Martin Luther King said a lot of stuff.
Is America inherently racist?
What the hell is that?
The word inherent is challenging there. America is racist to its bones. All of the...
So inherently.
Yeah. The entire system has to burn. And I'm not going to even use save this country. This country is not worth saving. This country is a piece of shit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
They gon' say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification. Where are you guys on your anti-racist journeys? So I'll look around the room and point to who we believe is the most racist person in the room. We want to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument. Would you mind signing it? You will? What do you think about this issue of heteronormativity and how it intersects with the broader structures of racism in society?
They gon' say I'm racist.
What's up with white people? What are you doing to decenter your whiteness?
Who's making it the center? Why are they doing that?
And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. Listen more for you in this field. White.
Folks.
White.
Trash. White supremacy. White woman. White boy.
White.
Entitlement.
White.
Centering. White. Silence.
Is there a black person around here?
So there's a black person right here. Does he not exist?
They gon' say I'm racist, but they call everybody racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. And what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Matt. Hi, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
I just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gon' say you racist, but they call everybody racist.
So I thought that was interesting. Just want to show, because again, it was more so, I mentioned I am probably going to go see it. But mainly, again, to that point, I was shocked to see this. I was going through the Cineplex app and it said I could buy tickets for it. And I was like, whoa, that's a step. That's a step. Don't know what to make of it. I thought that was really interesting that it made it into theaters. Never have I seen anything like that happen before. And it really, from what I've seen and watched of different coverages of it, it really is him just having conversations with some of these people who have made a living in DEI as just left-wing grifters. Making a living. Obviously, Robin DiAngelo was the first one, the last one there in that video, who had one of the most controversial books. And I thought it was interesting. So I wanted to kind of shout that out here. And obviously watch the trailer together, see what your thoughts are. But let's move on. Let's end this show off. This is going to end us off with a wild card from Reg, of all people. Hilarious. Let's do this.
And are they a licensed OBGYN?
On the issue of abortion, because you've changed your position so many times.
Who do you think's responsible for tucking Trump's neck into his shirts? And are they a licensed OBGYN?
So obviously, making a joke about Trump's neck looking like a vagina. It is what it is. That's Reg's humor for you. That's Reg's humor for you. Super short. And, Reg's comment here is like, the Trump haters are loving this one. That said, I don't think this individual should be talking. Those who live in glass houses and all, quote, yada. So that was right from Reg. That was his wild card. I'm going to throw mine up because we're going to have some fun.
This is a brand new minute.
So first off, I wanted to mention here, anyone who knows Kill Tony, right? He just did his show at MSG. You're bringing on comedians, just amateur comedians coming on for a minute. And he kind of brought the best of the best amateurs who've kind of made a splash on his show over time to kind of make this MSG show like worth it. So these amateurs are showing up in front of thousands of people. And this one, it's a 2.5 minutes, but I guarantee it'll be worth your time.
From Jared Nathan.
Here he comes, and here we go.
If you can't tell by looking at my face, I'm a huge wrestling fan. Finally, Jared Nathan at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, make some noise. I was on the subway last night. I heard the announcement. If you see something, say something. Every time I say something, it'll be too late. Run, bitch! Run, bitch! Run, bitch! Having a stutter is a blessing and a curse. The good thing is, telemarketers hang up on me. The bad thing is, ordering Chinese food is fucking impossible! That's so a joke!
So he goes on and he it gets a little crass at the end, but thought that was interesting. It was the opening joke that really killed me. If you can't tell by my face, I'm a huge wrestling fan. Loved it. Shouted out. It was awesome. That was a great show, y'all. Really appreciate you guys joining us. I'm seeing the Q&As here just absolutely popping. And you guys were having full-on conversations throughout the show with each other. We're here for it. We love the community that's being built. And a lot of people just kind of really reiterating kind of what was said, what was discussed. And people who have actually who were on the ground of the convoy, which I thought was really interesting, which again was alluding to, again, Andy Fillmore coming out of the Trudeau government, thinking that we should just sick police on people who are either homeless or protesting. It's pretty on par for the Trudeau government and coming out of that. So those are great points. We loved having you guys on the show. Thank you so much for everything that you guys are, who you are. So whatever it is you're doing, whether it be going to work, finishing off your job, or just living your life, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are, we love you. We're out. Peace.